Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV, the new edition of our online interview series. We want to get an update from Hannan Metals because it was just quite some time ago. We spoke here with Michael Hudson, the CEO, who is with us today. Hey, welcome, and good afternoon to Australia.
Good morning to Austria.
Thank you very much, Michael. Oh, everything is well, and I must say, Hannon, great company, really fantastic performance in the share price also. But you guys really delivered. And so I want to start with the latest news here that you expanded at Previsto the alkalic gold footprint to 750 meter strike. And 4.6 meters at 7.2 grams in a trench. Gold per ton is, I would say, really nice, isn't it?
Well, in context, it's very nice. If it was an isolated result, it would be, well, what does that mean? But this is all part of a much larger system. So it's basically a 5 by 5 kilometer soil anomaly, a massively big uh, area, and that's a magnetic anomaly and a radiometric anomaly with potassium. So it's a big system. We've started to find some very high grades in some parts of it in outcrop as we've just started to make this discovery. It's about
Mhm.
a year old now, and so we found 100 and I think I haven't got the numbers in front of me, Jochen, but about 160 meters at a gram and a half, and within that it was 25 meters at about 7 grams, something like that. So some very
Mhm.
high grade parts of the system in this sea of lower grade gold, and that's what these alkalic systems are. They form multi-million ounce systems. You've got Porgera, you've got Cripple Creek. Those those mines started on very high grade parts, which is a very small part of a much larger system, which I refer to as the sea of gold. That's what we're seeing. So seeing some of those higher grades above a gram, up to an ounce, is very exciting in the context of what this system is, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, what I found also really interesting is that you have those fantastic copper results also in addition to that. And 126 meters with 0.22% copper, 192 meters with 0.17% copper. And that comes like in addition to what you found there, right?
Yeah, this is a big system, like I said. So we've got a little lower. We've got the porphyry copper with a little
Mhm.
bit of gold in it at a lower topographic level with those hundreds of meters at point 0.1, point 0.2 copper, which is leached. So it's weathered at the surface. So we'd hope that that grade would increase when in the fresher rock. And that's over, a kilometre or more. We see this band of, 1 to 200 meters of this porphyry system. And then maybe a kilometre or two away, we've got these very high grade results, but that's higher up in the system, this alkalic gold. And then if you go again where we have just started to do a little bit of work, we know there's an epithermal system related to dikes and different to the alkalic gold. So this is a multifaceted, massive mineralized system.
Mhm.
Not a drill hole in it yet because we've just made the discovery and we're just starting to permit it now. So there's a team of 15 people out there as we speak doing all the environmental work to get the DIA application, the Declaration Impacto Ambiental, which is like an EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment, for the drill work. So that's what's ongoing right now. We hope to have that submitted by Q3 this year, and then it will be up to the Peruvians how long they take to permit that. I've challenged them; they can do it in 6 months. It's taken 11 months for our last one, but they're getting better. So it's sometime next year that we'll be drilling this. Earlier, the better.
Super. So that's all inside the Valiente um, a property, which is 920 square kilometers, right? So that's really hefty. And Previsto is one of those big targets, I would call it. So what else is going on there with? I think it's Belen is also one, which looks really great. And given the fact that you hopefully soon get those real permits, let's say by the beginning of next year latest, that would be great. What will be then next? Because 920 square kilometers, that this is so much. Where do you put the focus on?
Well, we've got 18 different porphyry centers and epithermal centers. So it's like a string of pearls we'll be progressively permitting. But the good news is, and that may have been lost, is that we are drilling. And we just started drilling for the first time at Balen, which is about
Mhm.
20 kilometers away from Pisto. And at Balen, we've got 3 different targets over 9 kilometers, 2 porphyries sandwiched with an epithermal gold system in between. And literally, we're on our 3rd hole there now. We just announced, and we've drilled 2 over the last 4 or 5 weeks. First results will be when we get all those holes and the results in from that one area. So we're hoping in July, maybe early August, but we're really pushing to try and get those first results in. These are the first drill holes probably within 50 kilometers of anything. So we found this whole new porphyry copper belt, this huge land holding, first mover advantage, 18 different porphyries, permitting the first 3 projects that we're drilling this year. The drill rig won't stop. And then we've got the monster, the big one at Previsto that we're working on and starting the permitting. So we'll have this progressive series of projects, and our biggest challenge will be number one, to find the highest grade parts of the system and the best parts of the system early on, because there's so many. So finding the best system and the best parts of that. And that's why we've got in Balen, we're just putting 3 or 4 holes into each one of those 3 targets initially to
Mhm.
understand where the gold is and the copper, and just where we should be focusing. So it's a first look in a completely new area. So really, really exciting, and one of those new copper porphyry belts.
Yeah, super. And then you have also Vista Alegre, because that looks also fantastic on the chargeability, what I see here in your presentation. So will that be followed then with Ricardo Herrera and Sortilegio?
Yeah, so too many names have
I
confused.
know.
Yeah, you poor Jochen. Balen is those 3 projects. So they're the 3 projects. The 2 outer with the inner meat in the sandwich is Vista Alegre is the inner project, and Ricardo and Sortalecchio are the 2 porphyry targets at either end. So
Okay.
that's over 9 kilometers, and in total we just call that Balen. I was shortcutting, but those names are the local names, and each one of those projects, whether it's Ricardo Herrera, Vista Alegre, or Sortalecchio, could be a company maker in their own right. But we won't know until we drill them. We're just drilling the 3rd hole into Vista Alegre now.
Okay, super. So how would that work in the future? Let's assume you will have everywhere success, which it looks like, yeah. So I think you cannot develop everything by yourself, right? Because you are not that size of company by now. But would you be interested to say, you know what, we maybe do Ricardo Herrera and Mr. Alegre, we put maybe to a strategic or somebody who wants to step in to do that on a project level?
Yeah, so we've already started that process in a way. We joint ventured the San Martin area, which is about 300 kilometers to the north, with the Japanese government, JOGMEC. So they've got a 35 million US dollar deal on a slightly different geology. It's sediment hosted copper up there, like a pancake, and
Uh,
they've been a wonderful partner for 4 or 5 years up there. They're truly amazing people and amazing partnership.
mm,
We've got Teck, which is Canada's largest mining company. Because it was too early to do any more property deals, they came in at the company level and equity level, so they own 9.9% of the company. So we're starting to get some big partners. But what I see is, and it's too early yet, and I talked about that string of pearls of permitted and drill projects, is we'll work on some projects ourselves, or at least one big focus, and then we'll start joint venturing out the other projects. But we want to get those first holes in and have a look. And then there may be some projects we choose to sell too, because we just can't deal with lots of joint ventures either. So we'll be ranking the projects, but when we've had a first look, when we've permitted them, de-risked them, and that will come over the coming years.
okay, super. Do you have any infrastructure next to it, or let's say at least a 50-kilometer circle?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's roads and power, especially the Balen area. We're
Mhm.
walking about a kilometre from an existing road into the drill site, so it's relatively simple. There's people around who are very supportive, and having that local support, you can't do it without that in Peru. So you've got to have the local people wanting you there, and we've worked long and hard to establish that. But we're only an hour away from a town of, I think, 30 or 40,000 people is Tingo Maria. We've got a big office block, come apartment that houses the whole team and all our core cutting, etc. So it's gentleman geology.
I see. Super. And it sounds like a good plan, I would say. Also, the question is, you want to do a lot then in the future, and I saw you have warrant acceleration, which would bring how much money into the bank?
About a couple of $1 million will be bought in through that warrant conversion that we've just called over the last week.
Mhm.
That's another 3 weeks in timing until that closes. So I encourage all people with any warrants left in the company to look at that press release, because after another 3 weeks they'll expire. So, and they're very much in the money. So it's a great deal for shareholders who supported us back earlier when we're a much lower market cap company, and they've got the option of converting those warrants, and it's giving us that financing too, and removing that overhang. So we'll have zero warrants left in the company in 3 weeks' time.
Well, that is fantastic. Super. And with that money and the money you have in the bank, that would last until end of the year because you want to work a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's enough to continue the drill rig turning until the end of the year.
Okay, super. Then let's move a little bit to St. Martin, because I think that's a really interesting thing with the JobMec joint venture. I think you did that perfect. So, how is it going there? What are the next plans?
Painfully, is the truth. You don't expect people to say that, do you? But
No.
one wonderful partner,
Mhm,
great geology, lots of copper. But unlike in the Valiente project, we've hit roadblocks. There's been small NGO groups who've been banging the table and making it a bit difficult. San Martin operates in some slightly different rules, so we've got the project of investment grade by the Peruvian state, so we recover VAT, and it's been anointed like that. We've got letters from the Council of Ministers anointing it as a key project. We've got the DIA, the Declaration Impacto Ambiental, and we're just waiting on final small bureaucratic pieces. But it's looking very difficult, and Peru is complicated in many ways, and it's I'm a little
mhm.
frustrated that you can hear around that. But we've got a great partner. We've got lots of activity in the south, and we continue to push ahead. Our aim was to be drilling on Q3 this year in that project, but at this stage, I can't see that happening necessarily to that time frame. So. There's more work to be done up there, but all power to JOGMEC, the Japanese government, who have been a great supporter and are fully funding
Yeah.
that project.
Exactly, and that's what I wanted to hear because that helps a lot when you do not have to fund anything, but you are participating. That's fantastic. Um, so now the warrants will be gone. You still have some stock options. I think those are probably for employees and the team. Yeah. So who are your largest shareholders? Any main shareholders you can disclose to us?
Well, other than tech, of course, that's a 9.9% shareholder. Management and directors and founders have about 14%. We're very well supported by high net worth group out of the US, and so this has really been a company. If you remember, that we've kept it very tight in
Mhm,
terms of capital structure, in terms of money spent, because up until a month or two ago, we've been building this early stage discovery basically with our funds and funds of a few friends. And so Hannan is pivoting, no doubt, as we're starting to drill, and you wait until we hit something, then it will really change, no doubt. So yeah, it's been a company that is at that stage of its career, and
mhm.
I can see it becoming more institutionalized, if that's the term,
Yep.
over the next year or so, as we start to de-risk and drill and define parts of projects that we're really starting to focus on. But that's it.
Okay, super. I like it. Perfect. So that's short and on the point. That's great. Michael, thank you very much. It was a great update. I would suggest that we have a look when you have the drill permits and the drills, and you have the next drill results back. So let's do an update there, because that's really important when we see what is really in the ground then.
When we have the
And
drill results, just to clarify, we have the permits.
exactly. No, I mean, when you have the drill results, then we see what is really there, yeah? And so let's have a talk then. And thank you very much. And thanks for the update. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jochen.
Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it was Michael Hudson, the CEO of Hannan Metals. And you heard it, lots is going on in Peru, waiting for drill permits, but they're also drilling already on some parts of the project. And this is so large. This is really crazy, 920 square kilometers in Peru altogether here. And yeah, I must say, unbelievable. And so far, what we saw in the results is fantastic. That really looks like a giant, yeah, copper, gold, silver discovery here. And they have also tech on board. They have JOGMED in a joint venture. And so that you see already that a little explorer has already the attention of two of the largest companies in the world here. And that's, I think, is a very, very positive sign. So we keep you posted on the results. Thanks for watching us, and bye bye from Austria today.